Okay, welcome to this video, part 1, the 10-part video series, how to go from $80,000 to $1 million a year in your small business. The first step is the strategy. Do you have the right strategy? Is your business model going to work? Okay, yes, you're creative, you're driven, you have tons of ideas, many entrepreneurs, people who want to go into the business. That's why you're here. You have that spark within you that you want to create and have original ideas. And you don't want to be constrained by working by someone else, for someone else who's telling you what to do. This is a huge mistake that new business owners make. You don't have to do anything new. And to do something new is so difficult to actually find a product and a market fit that people have a huge demand for, that's going to get you the money, is very challenging. We're just at the baby steps here. You just want to get your foot in the door with a business that's profitable, that's doable, that's going to work. Okay, so we need to analyze your strategy. What is the strategy you have chosen? You should be able to describe it to me clearly in 60 seconds. That means that you have to practice. When you're driving, anytime you're driving, do your elevator pitch, 30 to 60 seconds. What do you do? Who do you do it for? What problem do you solve? Okay, I help busy tech entrepreneurs eat healthy meals at home. Okay, the specific customer, specific product is a problem that they're solving. My company, we make boring rooms beautiful in your home. That's what my company does. You need to figure out your strategy, and the way you shortcut this, rather than trying and testing and failing, is just look around. What is working for other people? Okay, you drive down the street. There's a lot of general contractors, and they all do the same thing, and they all have, there's a lot of them have been open for 30 years. So they're doing something that there's demand for, that they can supply, and that they can have a profit margin on. There is not people out there giving away free ice cream bars, okay? That's not a profitable business. Check what you're doing and see if someone else is doing it. There's 8 billion people in the world. You don't have to be original. That's completely unnecessary. There's so many business models. I did some work for a franchise and they opened 30 locations last year. It's a very boring business and it works, and they know that it works, and that's why they can invest into opening 30 new locations in a single province in 1 year. Every franchise knows this. They have a product that they can deliver at a margin that's in demand. So sit down, write down your strategy, who your customer is, and who else has done this successfully. If nobody has done this ever before, it's brand new, you're going to build some kind of robot that folds pants, you have no way to know if there's a demand for that in the market, unless you have some inside connections and you've talked to several hotel chains and they say, we're dying here because all of our customers want us to fold their pants and we can't pay people. They're too expensive to get pants folders. And, if there was some kind of solution that was automation that could fold pants, we would pay millions of dollars for it. Nobody's saying that. So be careful of your original ideas. You don't have to be creative. There will be time for that as you go on, but find a model that works, that's already worked for someone else. Okay. Lesson 1. Thanks for watching. All right. Welcome to your second lesson. This one is very, very important. It took me 5 years of being in business, 10 years of being in business for myself to learn this. And I learned it from some very, very successful people, very smart people. Okay, what is your motive? And we're going to have to unpack that. So what is your expectation of what your role is going to be? So you want to start a business, or you've started a business, you want to go from $80,000 to $1 million. What does that entail when you make that shift? Fundamentally means that you as a person are going to have to change. Your identity is going to have to change. Your role is going to definitely change. And your actions, what you do every day, is going to change. Okay, so let's say you do flooring and you're really good at installing flooring. I already told you how good you were. And you said, hey, I make a dime, the boss makes $1, so I'm going to do this myself. And you start getting customers. Okay, the difference between $80,000 a year and $1 million a year is that the owner of $1 million a year flooring company does not install floors. So that's where I'm saying the fundamental shift is that you're going from a technician, an installer, to an owner who's paying and managing other people to do and perform the actual work. So we can dive even deeper into what does your role then become. So The Motive is also the title of a book by Patrick Lencioni. He's expert business management guru. And in his book, The Motive, he has two CEOs. And it's great because it's a fable. It's written in a story. It's a short read. I recommend it. The book by Patrick Lencioni. But I'm going to summarize it. So there's two CEOs. One of them does really well. The other one, his business is struggling. It's failing. It's not doing well. And he can't seem to understand why. And when he looks at what he's doing with his time, he spends it doing what he likes to do. So he came from the marketing and the sales side. And he says, okay, well, I'm going to help in marketing and sales, and I'm going to take over whenever the team is struggling. And so he was basically responsible and taking it upon himself to do the marketing and sales. And meanwhile, the things that he didn't enjoy, like technology or accounting and reviewing the books, he said, that'll just take care of itself. He didn't pay too much attention, didn't spend too much time in his meetings. And that's entirely the wrong mindset. What's the role of a CEO? It's to hold people to a higher standard, to have the difficult conversations that nobody else wants to have, and to point out where the flaws are. And then in that way, by having those difficult conversations, by facing, the elephant in the room, you'd be surprised there's really big companies with these huge 600-pound gorilla in the room. Nobody talks about it. Or, the owner or the CEO has some horribly destructive habit which eats up all the company's profits or which causes high turnover because nobody wants to work with them. Okay, by directly addressing those issues and being willing to confront that, that's how you build a great organization. Because in essence, you're coaching the people up to higher and higher levels, and you are no longer doing the work. Now, your responsibility is to develop people and to solve the problems that might come up in between your team members or your divisions or your departments. So right now, before you go any further, you have to make this commitment and say this out loud, okay? I am willing to change my identity and I'm willing to assume the role of a business owner, of a CEO. And it's gradual over time, but you have to be willing to let go of what you're used to doing from the past, because if you're not, you're going to say, oh, no, you guys aren't doing a great job. I'll go install the floors. Or I'm going to do that floor. Oh, let me take care of editing all the videos for social media. You become the bottleneck, and your business cannot grow like that. You have to be willing to let go and say, introduce yourself and say, hi, my name is George. I'm the owner of this company. You don't say I'm a flooring installer. You don't say I'm a carpenter. I'm an HVAC technician. No, you're a businessman. You're a businesswoman. Okay. So we've got to get it clear that the motive of growing this, you want to be at this level, you have whatever goals, it's revenue, you want to have your personal income, you want to live that type of lifestyle. You have to be willing to accept the responsibilities that come along with that. So your role as the owner, as the founder, as the CEO is going to shift to where you're going to have to coach and develop people. That's your number one priority. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to take that on, then turn off this video and go find a job where you can get paid the most to install the floors or to do whatever skill technically that you prefer to do. Then there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's cut out to be a leader, and the owner of a company has to become the leader. There's no way around that. And that's why they say business ownership is the most rapid form of personal development and personal growth, because it forces you to grow yourself, because a company cannot grow beyond the level of its founder. So when a company is growing rapidly, that means that the founder is also growing just as rapidly. For example, you have one negative habit, right? And now suddenly you have way more income, let's say. Money doesn't make you evil, it makes you more of what you already are. So if you have a small cocaine habit, it's going to become a big cocaine habit when you have a lot more money. And of course, it's going to run the company into the ground. So you have to develop in order for the company to develop. Look around at any other business owner who's successful. They've had to grow in order for the company to grow. Those who refuse, those who cling to their old identities, they wonder why. They're probably not aware. They wonder why their company can't grow, why they keep self-sabotaging, stepping in their own way. And some people will blame others, they'll blame the team, they'll blame the economy. No, you have to look in the mirror and say, was I willing to change? Was I willing to take on the responsibilities associated with the role that I want to take on? So lesson 2 is, like we said before, you're committing to take on the role and the responsibility associated with a $1 million business. Get in that mindset. You are now a business person, and your number one responsibility is going to be people, and that's going to develop over time. So think about that, say it out loud, make the commitment, or don't, and go back to where you were before. But you have to be aware that this is a conscious decision that you're making right now, because that's going to be very important going forward. All right, thanks for watching module number 2. All right, the third lesson. It's another one of acceptance. You have to accept that you don't know everything that you need to know right now. You know enough to get you to where you are. Maybe you're at 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. To get to 1 million, there's a whole span of what you don't know yet. You have to accept that. You have to be open and willing to learn. This also ties back to shifting your identity, because you have to become a reader, okay? Look at the top 3% of the income earners in the world. You know, people commonly complain, oh, the 97% and the 3%. The 3% read at least 50 books a year. Okay, that's 1 a week. Is that daunting to you? Don't worry, you can get there, you can work your way up to it. But if you don't already understand the exponential advantage that you can get from books, you are going to have to change your identity, first of all. One of them is going to come down to, oh, I don't have enough time for that. No, you do have enough time for what you prioritize. You might have to change your priorities. You're going to have to cut some things out. Maybe you're not watching the game anymore on Sundays. Maybe you're not having that beer after work. Maybe you're sitting down to read, or you're waking up half an hour earlier. And it's so important that you read, because you can go into any segment of your industry, right? It could be your specific industry: sales, marketing, systems, leadership, coaching, developing people, branding, marketing, sales. There's so many, and you can get an expert, 30, 40 years of their life. They condensed it. They spent years. So most people spend 2, 3, 4 years writing a book, condensing all of the knowledge that they have, densely packed. It's this dense source of information. And you can read that book and learn all the lessons over those 40 years so that you don't repeat them. You don't have enough time in your life to make the mistakes on your own. You just don't. You're never going to. So if you want to get beyond the level you've been at, you're going to have to be open to learning, open to changing the way that you do things, and saying, oh, I had this frame of mind that I previously thought of solutions in this way, and I thought I was right. And no, the real answer is entirely different after reading from somebody who's done exactly what you want to do before. So you're going to start reading. You don't have to read paper. You can get Audible. You know, if you're still on the tools, if you're on job sites, if you're driving around, get Audible, start listening to audiobooks. This is going to be nonfiction, and what you want to read is wherever you're stuck. Don't read a book by a billionaire on how to manage a company with 2,000 employees. That's not helpful to you if you have 2 employees. So look for your bottleneck. This is a whole nother training, is the theory of constraints and identifying bottlenecks. But if you're having problems because there isn't enough leads coming in, first, check that that's actually the problem, and it's not that you can't sell or your product sucks. So if your real problem is that you're not getting enough leads, then go find a book, Alex Hormozi, $1 million leads, or $100 million leads. Okay, there's lots of books that can specifically direct you. There's expert marketers. You go on ChatGPT, say, give me a list of the 10 best books on marketing that are most suitable for somebody with a company this size, doing this revenue, and this is my revenue goal. And it's going to give you that list and go through, order them, get it on Audible. The best way to consume information is to read it and also listen to it on Audible. So you get both. And that way you have the visual, you flip along, and you're listening to it. There's 2 types of input, which is going to stick it in your brain. But at the very least, just consume the book, okay? So that's it for this lesson. Is you're going to have to take on the identity of a learner, okay? Drop the ego. Oh, I've done this before. I worked for one person for several years and I know how they did it, so I know what I'm doing. No, you don't know what you're doing, and you probably don't even know how much you don't know. So start to develop that habit now, and you'll see it'll progress. And eventually you might not think that you enjoy reading right now, but once you read a book and one line from that book makes you $100,000, then you're really going to enjoy reading. Okay, it's going to be your favorite thing to read nonfiction because it makes you money, because it gets you the lifestyle that you want and the results that you want. And it helps you to buy back your time, like you see right here. So I hope that you're already reading. But that's it for now.